So, hi, I'm Amelia. I'm also known as Emi, and I'm from Singapore. I'm a sound healer, but also an energy healer and a producer of documentaries, mostly related to healing and sound. It's my first time in Nepal, Kathmandu, and I really feel so honored to be here because I can feel the energies really so welcoming. The people are so welcoming, and the space is so beautiful. The energies are so beautiful, and I'm the kind of person that when I come to a place, I'm more concerned about the energy of the space than really about the tourist sites and stuff like that. Okay. In fact, I haven't really seen any tourist sites except the Bar Square, but what I have is I have connected with quite a lot of people here. And as a sound healer, energy healer, and also producer of documentaries, I find that Kathmandu has given me a lot of inspiration and a lot of like room for like creation. Okay? So my trip here has been really interesting so far, even though I've only been here a couple of days. And I think one of the highlights of the trip was I went to volunteer at Prisoners Assistance Mission, where I did 2 sound healing sessions for the children there, and it was really well received. And I felt a really good heart-to-heart sort of connection, and I really felt like I had understood the spirit of like Nepal. Okay. Why I really love Kathmandu was because as a sound healer, Kathmandu, being in a Kathmandu Valley, actually reminds me of a singing bowl. And I'm working with singing bowls, although crystal singing bowls and Himalayan singing bowls doing healing. So it's actually a really, really good like experience. Being here and feeling like the resonance, the sounds and all. And that actually inspired me to want to create a documentary about the soul of Kathmandu as sound and vibration and frequency and like music here. So that was one of the biggest inspiration. And yesterday when I went to the Sungava homes, also to do like a charity and movement healing session for the intellectually disabled women and girls, again I felt like there was so much openness and spirituality, and in fact the entire Kathmandu, the people that I've met like so far, they all have that openness and that spirituality, and I feel really, really touched by all the energy, and it almost feels like whatever like I want to do here, it is so easy for me to achieve, and I'm able to bring healing energy to like a maximum. And the concert, the spring concert that I'm going to be in, feels almost like the peak of that. Yeah. So I'm really, really happy. Like when we talk about energy healing, what we're talking about is in every space and every person and every object even, there is an energy field around it. Okay. So when somebody is sick or when something is challenging, it is because the energy is misaligned. So there is dissonance, there is conflict, there's contradiction. That's why there are problems, you know. So with energy healing, what we do is we try to bring the energy into alignment, either by using my energy and the energy of the universe and the environment and nature to be able to help realign and harmonize the person's energy, or more easily, I can use sound. So sound healing is one of the most easy ways to help people to sort of harmonize themselves, because our body is predominantly made out of water. Therefore, it becomes very easy to rebalance using vibrations and sound. So it becomes very easy to rebalance using vibrations and sound. And in Kathmandu, what I've found is that because it's a valley surrounded by the Himalayas, there is so much elemental energies, the energies of the mountains, and it feels like we're surrounded by the energies of deities, of goddesses, of gods, of nature elementals, and it's beautiful. And all of that that energy goes into the sound healing and becomes a beautiful tapestry of healing energy. The spring concert is a particular favorite like of mine. I have been to like rehearsals so far, and I really love the music. It's the first time that Actually, no. It's the second time that I have been introduced to a whole host of Nepali like music. The first time was, I think, last year when I came into contact with Nepali music because John did a Kumari dance composition with a dancer in Singapore last year. So that was the first time that I felt touched in the heart by like this, and I said, oh, I really need to come to Kathmandu because this really touched me somewhere, and I think if I came here, it would help me to open up and evolve and learn more. So the spring concert is going to be like these songs, which Nepali songs brought to the maximum, I think, spirituality through the Kathmandu Youth Orchestra's like dedication and through John's like conducting and arrangement, and also like it then flows very nicely into a healing song like by myself using crystal singing bowls and a shaman drum, and then after that we move into an entire beautiful meditation piece using music from the orchestra, from myself, from actually the handpan, and everything would blend in all together to with our energies and become like a beautiful experience for the audience. So please come to our spring concert. This morning I had like an amazing like experience because I went to Mangadai's Himalayan Sound Studio, and we had an entire sound healing experience with must be like 50 Himalayan singing bowls and like almost 10 like different gongs. That experience was really surreal. It brought me out of like the here and the now. It brought me out of like the hot weather because in Singapore we are always in air conditioning, so here we're not so used to it. But it was like I was out of my body. It was so beautiful. I could feel vibrations going through like my body. I could feel like I'm traveling to different places. I could feel all this like inspiration and creative ideas all coming into my head. And I could feel like my body wanting to move and like, flow like with it. And it was just an amazing like experience. And I just felt that this is why I always felt that Kathmandu Valley was like a singing bowl, that this entire space, the people, the culture, the food was like so like healing, and that is again like one more sort of affirmation of like how the entire flow of the universe has like brought me here and brought me to experience this, and so I'm definitely coming back to learn it. So I've already made arrangements with that. So I'll be back in Kathmandu probably later this year, and I'm really looking forward to it, even though I haven't left yet. So here, the healing, because of the elemental energies and the energies of the people, and also the organic energy from the bowls and the gongs, there was a very primal feel to it. So when we say primal feel, it's like you could literally feel the wind, the mountain's energy, the changing weathers, and even like the energy from like the gongs and the singing bowls, they felt like raw, and it felt like I was trekking the mountains, and you're surrounded by nature, and it's like that kind of feeling where you're going back to nature instead of like towards civilizations. Okay. And in Singapore, what is very different is that we are a lot more performative, and especially in the kind of healing that I do, the movement and the sound are of equal importance, and we tend to kind of like to set like the mood. Whereas with the Himalayan singing bowls and the gongs today, it was a very simple room, but in itself, it was already so powerful that you didn't need to add anything else on. And it was really focused on healing through sound. When I do my sound healing, I actually inject a lot of energy into it as well. So I would say that would probably be like the main difference.
My name is John Sharpley, and I'm a composer, a pianist, a conductor, a teacher, and an author. And I love traveling, and I love exploring how diverse humanity is, but I particularly love Nepal. And this is my 5th time to Nepal. My first time was in 2016. And every time it just grows. I feel like I'm coming home when I come to Nepal. I love it very much, and I love the culture and the rich history and the people. Well, I've come to conduct the Kathmandu Youth Orchestra in a concert on Saturday at the Russian Cultural House. And so we are now in a week of rehearsals. And I have the great pleasure of working with wonderful musicians and singers and even yak dancers. Nepal is so rich, and something that I was so overwhelmed to discover all the multiple cultures and over 120 groups, ethnic groups, and each having its own music and its own dance and its own cultures. This I find extraordinary, so very, very rich. And there's so many festivals and so many things happening all the time. I think that's also very rich, and how it's connected to everyday life, to religion, to just everyday living is so marvelous. So it's deep in that way, from the folk culture to the popular music to even to the classical music. Enormous variety. What aspect of Nepali music do I like the most? Soulfulness. I think there's a very deep soulfulness and a great sense of heart in Nepali music, and the emotional content is always very direct and very sincere. That's something I find throughout. I think it's always interesting. We have to be careful not when we are fusing music. If you speak of Western music and Nepali music, I think Nepali music must never lose its soul and its beauty and its individuality. But I think as perhaps the world becomes more interconnected and we discover how we are as one, and it doesn't even have to be Western music per se. It could be the influences that are worldwide. And I think particularly with internet and the way communication is today, we are connecting more and we become more as one planet, one humanity. So in that sense, I think it might be a way of expressing that unity, but in a very peaceful kind of way. Not in a violent way or a turbulent way, but a very peaceful way, how we can meet. It's a kind of cultural handshake in some ways. Then that's what I think. I love the folk music, and one of my very favorite instruments is the sarangi. And I love the traditions in folk, in the streets, in the villages, and how the sarangi is it's an instrument and it creates music of the people then, and I find that very deep and endearing. First of all, I think Nepali music is so profound and so beautiful and sincere and rich that deserves to be heard internationally. And I think, for example, one of my very favorite songs is Okali Orali, then, with lyrics by the late Queen. And it's every time I hear it, I want to cry. And I think it's so beautiful. And I think the world would find it also a treasure that we can all feel something about. And I think perhaps now with social media the way it is, and even with the work of the Kathmandu Youth Orchestra, perhaps this is a way of getting this music to a more international viewing. Well, like I said, my favorite is Orali, Kali Orali. Yes, last year, for example, I had conducted a Kumari dance with a Kumari dancer, which was extremely profound for me, so beautiful, that experience. And also we did a lake dance with an actual lake dancer, and that was very expressive for me. Another song I love very much is Siyatari Baji, that is very beautiful and delightful. And I think there's just a great deal of love for, and this is very important, we love the land that we're from, we love the planet that we're on, and we love our culture. And I think that's a very important thing, is to love our culture and to love the land that we're from. And you find that in so much of the Nepali music. We have a spring concert coming up with the Kathmandu Youth Orchestra. That's on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. at the Kathmandu, I'm sorry, can I start all over on that? There is a spring concert at the Russian Cultural House, which will be presented by the Kathmandu Youth Orchestra, but we have guest artists as well. And the program promises to be very interesting because it brings together Nepali music and a lot of folk music and some more classical kinds of music, popular music, but also Western music. And I think it's a very interesting blend of that. Plus, a very special feature of a meditative music where we are bringing together sound healers who are coming to play handpan and singing bowl and crystal bowls along with the orchestra in a meditation that actually involves the orchestra as well, and the audience as well. But for the songs, one of my very favorite songs will be Ukale Orale, and we have singers, some wonderful singers, who will be singing several songs as well. But we also have other music, such as a waltz by Shostakovich, Dmitri Shostakovich, who is a Russian composer. And I think you'll find that very enjoyable, as well as a work by the Beatles called Yesterday, a very beautiful work. So we have quite a variety of pieces then. I think this program will help to promote more traditional music from Nepal. Certainly Nepal is already quite rich in popular music, pop music, even rap music, and I've seen all kinds of wonderful genres of very contemporary music. I think it's very rich in that. But it's really important to always remember the traditional music and some of perhaps the older songs. There's a reason why they remain beautiful. They withstand the test of time. And I think all the songs that we will be presenting, the Nepali songs, which are older songs probably, but they stand the test of time. They are very beautiful, and they speak to all ages and all generations, and I think they have a timelessness to them.